Political instability, record drought and hunger in Somalia has seen thousands flee into Kenya. Humanitarian agencies working in Dadaab say the influx of refugees at the camp is stretching the already overcrowded camp's resources, from food to shelter and security.
It is for this reason that the relief groups have embarked on self-sustaining projects and activities such as agriculture and business ventures that will help both refugees and host communities become more self-reliant. Tabu has more from Dadaab.
With the Horn of Africa experiencing the worst drought in 40 years, there has been an influx of nationals from Somalia fleeing into northern Kenya, particularly Garissa. The dire situation blamed on the changing climate has seen humanitarian organizations shifting gears from responding to emergency requirements such as food, health and sanitation to efforts that will lead to sustainability and the fight against adverse effects of climate change.
It's very concerning. I mean, when we talk about doing humanitarian work here for 30 years, we want to get ourselves out of doing the humanitarian work, right? We want to build self-reliance. We want to provide livelihoods. We are also in very, long-term plans to build up self-reliance and livelihoods, working with the government of Kenya, Garissa County, working with our partners to look at, for example, water harvesting, rainwater harvesting. How do we provide fresh water and dams that will give people opportunities to produce agriculture?
Hagadera in Fafi constituency, I find a community ravaged by the effects of climate change, whose consequences have been severe drought. But the greenery here will have you deceived, thinking you are in one of those rain-fed counties. This piece of land measures slightly more than an acre, and despite the harsh weather conditions generally experienced in Garissa, the locals have not been deterred from turning this bare land into an oasis of sorts.
So you want to see some of the fruit?
The greenery is pleasant and appealing to the eye, from seedlings of different types of trees, exotic and indigenous, to fruit trees all round. The shade provided by the canopies of these trees offers some relief from the scorching sun. This is simply astonishing, and it all started many years ago. Hassan Farah is one of the supervisors of this project.
The reason why we started was because of the degradation of the environment. And this place, when the camp was being planned, it was barely empty.
Completely?
Completely.
Okay.
So that's now we initiated this project to be started, so that the trees to be planted in the camps.
A walk through the garden. Hassan informs me that this is not the work of the host community alone, but the efforts of the refugees who came from Somalia.
So what we did is that we employed 50 half from the refugees and half from the host community. Then initially we do some trainings for them.
For all of them?
For all of them together.
None of them, I believe, have an idea of how to do tree seeding.
For example, these guys from Somalia have experience in farming. When they came from Somalia, some of them are from the lower Juba River, where they do the farming. So that's how we employed them to do their work. Instead of focusing on something else, they come and concentrate on what they were doing before.
Hassan says apart from creating cohesion and integration between the host community and the refugees, this venture has been very profitable.
Do you give them out for free, and what happens to the
For the tree seedlings, it is free of charge. UNHCR is paying for that.
Okay.
But for these other issues of exotics and this nursery and these flowers, that's what they come and do daily. They get from the daily income.
So when they sell, they share the profits.
They share, yeah. They have a book where they put all the records. Whenever it is a lot, a big amount, that's the time they're going to share them equally.
So you were telling me about the moringa.
Yes.
Yeah, like this particular.
Yeah.
So
this moringa is a medicinal tree. It is even planted in the entire household. Because whenever the scorpion bites you, you just remove the top cover.
Currently, the garden has enrolled 50 members from the host community in Hagadera and another 50 from the refugee community. But it was not rosy at first to coexist, he tells me.
Yeah, the beginning was a challenge because to know one another was so it was not a quite easy thing. But when we stayed, these now refugees are almost staying for 30 years This is the third generation now that are here. So I see that here, it is not called the host community nor the refugees. There are people who are equal. They share the same resources together. We have intermarried, we have interacted, you know. And now the cohesion in between the refugees is very nice, very good. When it comes to this place, the way you see when they're together working, you'll never see these guys are from different. You think that they are from the same mother. They are all together and one, equal.
Mahat Jama is a supervisor representing the refugee community at this garden. He arrived in the country in 1992.
I fled the war in Kismayu and came to seek refuge here. My dad and my eldest son were killed while we were fleeing. We were received by UNHCR and the host community and got a place to settle, even though it is a camp.
According to Mahat, these farming activities have made the two communities become self-reliant.
Previously, we used to depend on resources, especially food from humanitarian organizations. But now, we only need a little food from the organizations. We were able to farm here and sell crops and buy whatever food we need.
Both the host and the refugee communities are turning Hagadera into an oasis. They are constantly organizing tree planting activities, selling trees to schools and government institutions, and providing water for farming activities to their neighbors. At a nearby farm, another group of refugees, together with the host community, have planted maize, watermelons, vegetables, and are also keeping poultry. Side by side, the hosts and the visitors from Somalia have cultivated this huge piece of land and turned it into an admirable fertile land.
Mimea ni mahindi, mtama, watermelon na kunde, dengu. Sisi tumeanza kwanza wakati mvua inaanza karibu. Nia yetu ilikuwa ya kwamba tufaidike na hii mvua. Na tulikuwa na matumaini kubwa kuhusu maneno ya rais ambaye amesema anataka kusaidia mashamba. Ndio tunaona hiyo maneno itakuwa kweli. Kwa hivyo wacha sisi tuingie group ambayo inasaidika.
Beekeeping is also becoming a big adventure for the two communities. According to UNHCR officials, humanitarian work will have to include self-reliance activities and not just emergency responses.
Another good news is that the government itself now is coming up with this concept of still in the spirit of social economic integration. What they were calling it the Marshall Plan, and then very soon I think a new name is going to be given to it. It's going to be called either Nashiriki or something. But the idea at the end of the day is to make sure that refugees are no longer seen as a burden, but their presence needs to be a catalyst for development of the hosting areas so that they can live in good neighborliness with their communities. Yes.
A few meters from here is another group of people who are changing their lives one day at a time. This is a woman empowerment group in Hagadera, and just like the farms we visited, this group too consists of host and refugee communities. Every so often, the group gathers at this center to collect money in what is called a merry-go-round of venture, where each woman contributes 1,000 shillings, which is stored by the treasurer and only loaned out to several members at a time. The women, all of Somali origin, say they came together to heal their past scars that were occasioned by the civil war, domestic violence, gender-based violence, rape, discrimination, among other vices.
I remember fleeing from the Al-Shabaab and government forces, but now I am here, very far away, and I feel at peace even though I am in a foreign land.
The women tell us that circumstances which brought them together have since made them stronger. With the money they collect, some have been able to borrow and use it to open groceries and little kiosks. The day-to-day activities that have been sustained by pulling together have made them forget their past.
My husband never made it to the camp when we were fleeing together. We were separated when we were running away from our attackers. I have never seen him ever since. That was in 2011.
Someone who has migrated from another country coming here, one thing they don't have is information. The other thing they have is a sense of loss of identity. You've gone away from everything that you know, so they also lack that kind of support system. And some of the GBV cases that we encounter when we are responding are rape cases, sexual assault cases, physical violence cases, psychological abuse cases, harmful traditional practices like female genital mutilation, forced marriages, early marriages that are still being practiced in the community. So we receive cases that maybe someone underwent an incident in their country of origin en route or while seeking asylum. So it could be at any time, at a given time. All are welcome to come and seek services, because a survivor might need different things. Even if something happened 2 years ago, the psychological impact it has on that human being could be very great. It could be a lot.
Out of the 6 children she fled with to Hagadera, one daughter has since been married to a Kenyan from the host community and has left the camp, meaning her daughter is no longer considered a refugee. Many refugees have found opportunities to improve their lives by working side by side with their host communities, while others have been lucky enough to be repatriated to other countries and carry on with life. But for the majority, the ability to be integrated fully with the host communities is one they dream of constantly. Nimro Tabu, Citizen TV, Dadaab.